everybody, and welcome back to Two Gents, Two Cents. Let's dive into the Thursday night matchup between the Ravens and the Dolphins. A lot of exciting things. If you guys are going to place a bet this week, or you just want to watch for bragging rights or talk smack to your friends, pay attention to this video. We're going to give you guys all the insights you need, the news, and things that maybe the news didn't make very known to you. Welcome, Thoth.
Yeah, and apologies on obviously I'm not in my normal setup. I'm working my 9 to 5 up here in the Big South in Birmingham, Alabama. So in a hotel for this one, but trying to get some more content out to you guys for these midweek games. So,
Mr. Worldwide.
yeah, miss Mid South at the very least. But lots of traveling going on in my life right now before the holidays. But yeah, this Thursday night game. Kind of two sides of the coin here. Both teams going in opposite directions, seemingly. Lamar should be playing, right?
Well,
it's not going to be
should he?
fake.
I mean, did you see? I don't know if everyone's aware, but the Ravens are being investigated by the NFL for their handling of the injury report last week. What about that?
Well, we talked about the whole NBA gambling scheme. Here we are. This stuff's going to get looked at with a high. High magnifying glass and very, under big scrutiny.
More scrutiny.
The FBI is not playing around.
Yeah, because, I mean, this looks like insider trading. If somebody knows he's not going to play, but he's telling people he's going to play, if they've got somebody that's going to put thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even, I doubt it, but millions on the game, and they want to lock that spread in at 6.5 or 12, whatever, before the injury report comes out, boom. Right there, so yeah, I mean, that's insider trading, basically.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, too, because in this instance, it didn't really matter.
It didn't.
The Ravens went out there and whooped the Bears.
The Bears.
Definitely, yeah, the Bears. Only team like the Bears that could go out and look like that. But, it's something when the coach comes out and says in the press conference afterwards, too, because he's getting all these questions, like, Harbaugh was like, well, really, whether he plays or not, it's not the coach's decision. I just kind of go in there and ask the medical guy, like, hey, is he good or is he not good?
Just
right?
That stable with the Giants, you can tell the doctors to let your guy play. It worked out for him.
Yeah, only, what was it, $200,000 or
he got
something?
He got fined, and so did Scadaboo, and then somebody else got fined too. It was just another player that was around there and like, hey, he's fine.
No, Scadaboo, I think, got like a
100,000?
10,000.
Was it? I thought it was 100. Thought it was a lot. I was like, damn, on a rookie contract.
No, Dable got the hammer. I don't think they gave Scadaboo a very big fine. I think it was only like 10 to like 7,500 or so, a really small fine.
So getting back to it though, Lamar, I'm with you. Everything looks like Lamar's playing. Everyone's talking like he's going to play. The spread's moving like he's going to play. If you go on any fantasy sites, they're talking to, if you're a fantasy manager, talking to fantasy managers like he's a lock this week. So, I mean, I'd keep an eye on it. I would keep an eye on it. With it being Thursday, you don't get a lot of wiggle room if the game starts and you've got him playing and he's benched. It's like if he doesn't play, it'll be a last-minute designation.
Yeah, which, something else to think about too, and it may not matter for the Dolphins because other than last week, they can't really stop the run, so it could just be enough to give it to Derrick Henry 25 times. But if he is still dealing with a hamstring injury, he shouldn't be able to move all that much. And that's, obviously what you have with Lamar. So, if he just turns into a pocket passer, maybe a totally different game. But I mean, even last week, he was full participant in practice, and then it comes out he wasn't really doing anything in those practices. So hamstrings is one of those things that you just don't magically get healthy from. It's definitely, there's a big feel out period on whether or not it's high risk of retweaking it. So something to look at as far as, how much he's going to move around in the pocket. Because there's seasons on the line still.
Yeah, and I agree.
They're only 2 games back, but
yep. You got the Ravens sitting at 2-5, right? And the Dolphins are 2-6. Ravens had a bye week, but when you look across the board, all their stats are so similar. I mean, to me, this is going to be a hard one, and I'll tell you which way I'm leaning further in the episode. But yards per play, you got the Ravens averaging about 5.8, Dolphins 5.2. Then you come down here to opponent yards per play. Ravens are at 5.7, Dolphins at 5.9. third down completion or conversion
Terrible
rate.
defenses.
I mean, the Dolphins' third down conversion rate is 43. The Ravens is 44. The only big difference here is, which this will matter, is the Baltimore Ravens red zone scoring percentage is actually pretty good. It's at 66%. And the Dolphins are rocking at 51%. So just a little over half the time the Dolphins even do anything in the red zone.
Yeah, and that's kind of come down to Tua's inefficiency at times. But I mean, I think this is more going to be about the game between the red zones, between the 20 and the 20. I think both of these teams are probably going to go for a lot of fourth downs. You know, they can kick the field goals, but I don't trust any of these kickers, and it's not like any of these teams have anything to lose. I think once they get into the red zone, they're really going to try hard for a touchdown.
Yeah, and I think the turnover.
And I don't think anybody can. Yeah, turnover battle is really going to what it's going to come down to. But I don't think either of these teams can stop the run. So if they get down there, they're just going to try to pound it, and one of these guys is going to get through. I would say Achane or Henry, but you know, a lot of guys coming back from Baltimore. This is kind of a statement. If you know, kind of like what we talk about with Pittsburgh's defense, like they got to start playing how they're getting paid. Otherwise, it didn't really matter what goes on the offensive side of the ball. It's going to be like the Bengals last year.
Yep.
Joe Burrow can throw, 9 touchdowns versus the Ravens and lose both of those games.
Well, if you look at turnovers, so it looks like the Dolphins have 6 fumbles lost. Ravens have 2, I think both by Derrick Henry. And then you've got Tua, who's just been riddled with interceptions. I think he's thrown about 3 every game, except this last game. Tua played one of his cleanest games, 0 interceptions, and it was either 3 or 4 passing touchdowns. So was it a fluke? Do we think he's going to play this good? Do we think Lamar's going to bounce back from the injury like you brought up? The hamstring isn't something to play with him being a mobile quarterback. Going to be tough, but you also saw the Dolphins defense get shredded by Jonathan Taylor. I don't know. Part of me, it just depends which team shows up. You know, if the Dolphins show up the way they have been, I think the Ravens take care of business. But then again, the Ravens, there's been several weeks where they just got crushed, and you can't blame it on the backup quarterback situation because the defense can still show up, and they didn't. Kind of a hairy one, but also some notable injuries. The Ravens are missing their left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, cornerback, Nate Wiggins, cornerback, TJ Tampa, and then linebacker. Dolphins missing linebacker, safety, wide receiver, tight end. So a lot of injuries out there still.
Biggest threats you had on the outside. This is primarily an Devon Achane and Waddle show now.
Yep. I would watch for a lot of checkdowns to Achane here.
Yeah. And Baltimore's going to be blitzing, which again, when we talk about, what Miami likes to do, they like to run a lot of motion, a lot of quick passing. That may play to their benefit, honestly. But I don't know, the spread being 8.5 points really just has me thinking Baltimore could just run them over. It's in Miami. I don't know how much that really matters, but I mean, do you have any thought here that Miami could keep this close? Or?
Well, yeah, actually, the Ravens defense was ranked near 30th in EPA, and so it's 29th in points allowed before the last game. So Ravens defense is a little shaky, and the thing is, if they're not known to get to the quarterback quickly, if you can pressure Tua, you're going to throw him off. But when Tua has time in the pocket, much like a lot of quarterbacks, he does much better without pressure. So, but if you send pressure and you can't get there, he's going to have all the time in the world. He's going to make good decisions. He's not going to turn the ball over. It's going to be a close one. I personally think that Lamar coming back, it's going to be a big morale boost. I'm thinking something. I don't think they cover the spread. I don't think the Ravens cover the spread. I'm thinking something more like 31-28.
Shootout on Thursday night.
I think it's a shootout. I think there's a couple turnovers, but all in all, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't feel good about taking the spread here. If I was going to do anything, I'd take the money line or the over on the points.
Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of the Baltimore-Chicago game. I heard there was a lot of people that were criticizing the way Caleb Williams played, so I'm not entirely sure how much better Baltimore's
Well, hold on. What color were his nails?
That's a good question.
Did he have his nails painted? If his nails weren't painted, maybe he's got something going on. Threw him off rhythm.
We do need to investigate on that, actually.
Yeah, the Williams nail paint.
I did watch the Dolphins Atlanta game, however. And while the score would say it was a complete beatdown, it was almost like the Atlanta game when they played Carolina. There were a lot of like 50-50 balls that just did not end up in the Falcons' hands. There was a time, I think they were only up 7, and they were on like the 30-yard line, and Tua threw a pass that got blocked by a defensive lineman, went up in the air, and 2 of the defenders went for the ball at the same time, and they dropped the ball, and they got a field goal out of it. And who knows what Atlanta would have done with the ball, but there were a couple of times there where I was like, well, if Tua throws that 1 inch in either direction, it could be picked off, or let alone not a first down. So I don't think it was as beat down as the score indicated, but even still, I don't know if the Ravens are able to, like you said, able to take advantage of those mistakes either because of how bad their defense has been playing. So you're sort of talking me into it, but man, Miami is just so bad. And I think looking so good last week. I'm surprised this line is what it is. I know Lamar's playing, but
I will say, to your point, you called Waddle out and HN out. HN's had over 90 scrimmage yards in the last 9 straight games, and Waddle has had at least 95 in the last 3. So, again, I think the spread's the least likely thing that I would take this week. I'd be looking at prop bets. I'd be looking at the points. I'd do maybe a teaser on the points if you can, especially because I think the line's moving up rapidly. I think this is a shootout. Give me
it at 51.5 right now.
Yeah, so that's because everyone's thinking the same thing.
Yeah, so I will say, what are they predicting the score to be there? If it's 8.5 at 51, it's like 29, 21, 22, 30 to 22, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sticking by my 31-28 call here.
Yeah.
So, I got a tool. We're talking about it being a toss-up. I've got a tool here where you can look at the Vegas, essentially the confidence of Vegas on each games, the rating for what they think the stats will look like. This one's got 1 star on several, and they're at their third parties, but they independently rank them, and several different outfits are giving this a 1 star for confidence with this odds. So I would not bet the barn on this game. I don't care how big a fan you are for the Dolphins, Ravens. I wouldn't bet the barn. I would lean player props here. Money line, Ravens, I'd lean heavily towards, not 100%, but I would lean props. And that's my Thursday take. That's my hot take.
I was saying, I'm in agreement. Overs on a lot of the player props, receptions for Waddle and Achane, probably rushing yards for Derrick Henry. In my opinion, I'm probably staying away from the Baltimore side, even though I know points have to come from somewhere. If it's not, Derrick Henry or Zay Flowers, it's tough to for me to project who's going to get the next most targets. Is it going to be one of the tight ends? Or is it going to be DeAndre Hopkins? I find it hard to bet on those kind of players.
Does D-Hop move teams every week? Like, what's going on with him?
Every year, somebody's going to give him a 1-year deal for no money. Everybody has receivers go down, and he's willing to play for $3.5 million. So Baltimore's been doing that, though. I mean, they've been picking up. They had Steve Smith there for a couple of years. What's another old? Didn't they get AJ Green for a year or something too? They're big on these like old wide receiver 1-year deals. Yeah, that's kind of their formula, though. They're built around running the ball and Lamar, so they can't spend it wide receiver.
I'm looking at another model, and this model is actually projecting 61 points total.
What sites are you using for that? Can you say?
All of them. I'll get with you after this. I've pulled information from several. I kind of made a graph and a chart on my end, talking about some of the key stats to go over. Red zone, third down, pass play percent, completion percent, things of that nature. But I'm kind of just pulling data from everywhere, trying to get all the opinions I can and kind of mash them together. And doing all the mashing, I'm just leaning more and more towards, I don't like the spread. I like the over. I like the props.
Yeah, because it really could go either way. I mean, it could be a blowout, or, like you said, we could see Miami keep this close because Baltimore can't stop them. So either way, it's better to probably tend to stay on the player side. Plus, you've been hot on the player props. We haven't really talked about it a lot on this show, but my boy's been running the world the last few weeks on the player props.
We're going to have to start a VIP program. There's actually some channels out here that do that. You can make a subscription base where they pick up your player props. Yeah, I had the last 4 of my parlays have all hit, so feeling pretty good about those. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy about it. You followed me last night. You didn't quite trust me to full send it, but you did. You took some money on it and paid out.
Yeah, paid out over like 5.5 to 1. So it's pretty good value there.
So that's all I got tonight.
Yeah, that's all I got on the game. Good luck out there to all you guys that are putting in bets, and comment if you'd like to see more of this kind of stuff for the night games from us. Anything in particular, let us know as always.
Yep. Again, thanks for coming back. If you're a second-time listener, third-time listener, we appreciate you. Please leave some comments like Foffman said. Give us your feedback. Anything you'd like us to focus on more, some stats, injuries, anything of that nature. But as usual, like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.
Peace.